Namaste yogis, and welcome back to my channel. My name's Maria and I will be guiding you through a yoga flow to wake you up today. This is perfect if you need a little wake me up in the morning or if you need a little pick me up in the afternoon. Hopefully this will give you the energy you need to move through your day with ease. We won't need any props today and we begin right away, so meet me in a seated position. To begin, we'll take one big inhale with both arms up to the sky. Option to look up here and just feel the energy moving from your hips up towards your fingertips, finding that reach. Inhale, and then exhale to find a gentle twist, twisting to your left side, bringing your right hand to your left knee. Your left fingertips can come behind you. Inhale to get long in the spine. And exhale to twist a little deeper. On your next inhale, return back to center. And then we'll lift our arms up again, look up, and exhale to twist over to the right side. The left fingertips come onto the right knee, and your right fingertips come behind you. Inhale to get tall, reach the crown of the head up to the sky. And exhale maybe to twist a little deeper as you exhale all that air out. Good, and return back to center. We'll rock forward onto our hands and knees. So bring your knees underneath your hips and your wrists directly underneath your shoulders. We're going to start with some cat-cows, opening up and moving through the spine. So dropping the belly, lifting the gaze. Pull the shoulder blades away from the ear. Inhale, cow pose. Exhale to round through the upper back. Tuck your chin into your chest. Cat pose. Inhale, drop the belly, lift the gaze, lift the tailbone. Exhale, pull the navel up into the spine. Send the tailbone down to that space between your knees as you push away from the mat. Inhale, lift the gaze, pull the shoulder blades back as you lift the tailbone. And exhale, push into the mat as you let the shoulder blades glide to either side of your shoulders and your upper body, stretching out through that spine. A couple more times on your own breath, inhaling to feel the front body stretch. And when you exhale, maybe feel the skin of the back body stretch. One more. Good. And then take your knees wide as the mat. Bring the toes to touch behind you and send your hips back towards your heels. Walk your hands out in front of you and then rest your forehead gently on the mat. And we'll take a few moments here just to center and reground. And if you're practicing this early in the day, maybe use this time and use this pose to set an intention for your day. And then just relax. Breathing full belly breaths. Inhaling, sending that breath deep into the low belly, into the low back, and then expanding through all four sides of your torso before that breath reaches your chest. And then exhale to let your heart melt down towards the ground, towards the mat. Good. And then push back up to tabletop position, stacking your hands and your wrists underneath your shoulders. We're going to ground down through all 10 knuckles. Spread your fingertips wide like pizza slices. Spin your inner elbows forward to face the front of the mat. We'll tuck the toes under, lift the knees. Inhale, and exhale to send the hips up and back for downward facing dog. Bend the knees here. Maybe pedal out the feet as you start to stretch out and awaken the whole body here. Keep pressing into all 10 knuckles. Your biceps are by your ears. You're pushing away from the mat as you're sending your tailbone high to the sky. And then we'll inhale to lift the right leg up. Keep the toes facing down. Keep the hips square, almost as if you were sliding or gliding your foot up a wall. Ground down through your left heel, bending that left knee, or option to straighten that left leg out, finding the stretch through that left leg. And then you'll bring your right knee to your chin, to your nose, straighten out, and then bring that right leg up and through in between your hands. Drop that back left knee, coming into low lunge here. You can keep the toes tucked under, or you can bring them flat on the mat. If you're looking for a little more stability here, you can keep them tucked under. Lift the chest. We'll inhale to sweep the arms up, bring them up overhead. And exhale for cactus arms, lift the chest, pull the shoulder blades together. Good, and then we'll release the hands back onto the ground. We'll shift the hips back, straightening out through that right knee and right leg. Send the right toes up and back towards your face, coming into a half split. Your hips are over your left back knee. We'll inhale to get long, find space, and exhale to tuck the chin into the chest. Good. Roll forward, returning to a low lunge, and we'll take our back foot and shift our toes to face the back of the mat. So we're kind of coming into a perpendicular here with the mat. So our left toes are facing towards the right side of the mat in this situation. So try to follow me as best as you can here, but we'll circle the left arm up and over back behind us as we lift our torso up, coming into a half warrior pose. So wiggle your foot around so that your knee is in line with your hip joint, your right knee is in line with your right hip joint, and your right knee is directly over your right ankle. Spread your arms into a T here. Inhale to look forward, exhale to relax the shoulders down, maybe pull the pinkies back. One more big breath in. And exhale. Keep your arms where they are. Shift that right foot forward just a little bit until you straighten out through that right knee. Good. We'll inhale, lift our arms up to the sky, find a length, and exhale to drop that right arm to the lower right leg. You can also drop it to your lower thigh, but just avoid the knee area here. Your right foot is flat on the ground, toes facing forward. You can keep a little bend in that knee if you need to here. We're finding a side stretch through our left side. So coming into gate pose. Your left hip should still be above your left knee. And feel that stretch from your thoracic spine, from your middle spine, all the way up through your pinkies. And maybe shift and spin your heart forward up towards the ceiling. If you push into your thumb, that can help you spin a little bit more too. But don't go beyond what you can hold here. Good. Inhale to slide back up. Return to that warrior pose. Turn your right toes to face the left side of the mat, so in front of you now. And we'll bring your left hand back behind you, stretching your right fingertips out, finding a nice counter stretch here on the right side. Option to stay here, or if you're ready for a challenge, you can lift your arm instead of over to the left side of the room. Your right arm is straight up. We'll lift that right back leg. Inhale. Exhale for an added challenge option to bend your right knee, take your foot behind you, and reach your foot with your hand, pushing through your chest here, finding a nice opening up through the chest. So a nice back opening pose right here. And this is a kneeling half moon pose variation. Inhale, release, returning to a half moon pose, and then lower your right foot down. Walk your hands back up to the front of the mat as you turn your toes to face the front. You turn your back leg to return to a low lunge. Lift that back leg, plant the hands, step the right foot back, and lift the hips for upward facing dog. Ground down through your right heel. Inhale, lift the left foot up, sliding it up an invisible or an imaginary wall. Toes are turned down. Toes are flexing, your hips are level to one another. Push away from the mat, grounding down through all 10 knuckles. Good, and then we'll bring our left knee into our nose as we shift forward, and then drop that left foot in between the hands. Good, and then drop that back knee. You can keep the toes tucked or flat on the ground. Keep that left knee directly over the left ankle. Make sure that they're in line so that your knee isn't falling in or coming out, that it's mostly in line and straight. Both are facing forward. We'll inhale to lift the chest up, reach the arms up high to the sky. Exhale for cactus arms, bending the elbows and reaching the shoulder blades together to lift the chest. And then release the arms to the ground. And we'll walk our hands back as we lift or shift our hips back, straightening out through that left leg, bringing the right hip over the right knee. Flex the toes back, keeping a little bend in the knee here, coming into a half split on the other side. Inhale to reach through the crown of the head, get long, and exhale to tuck your chin into your chest, finding a nice stretch in the upper back. Good, and then we'll roll through, rock forward, returning to a low lunge. And this time we're going to take our right toes and send them to the left side of the mat. Bring the left hand to the inside of the left foot. Take the right arm, circle it up and then around as you shift your hips back, and then lift yourself up to a half warrior pose. Heel toe the front foot around. Make sure that your left heel and your left knee are in line with your left hip socket. Inhale to lift the arms, gaze over the front left fingertips. Exhale to relax the shoulders down, pull the pinkies back. Good, and then we'll walk our left foot forward just a little bit, keeping that foot flat on the ground once you get there, maybe keeping a bend in that knee. Inhale, lift the arms up, and exhale to bend into your left side, into your left hip, and drop your left hand onto your left shin or onto your left thigh, but just avoiding that knee area again. And then take your fingertips over directly above you. Maybe your bicep comes close to your right ear. Spin the chest, spin the heart forward as you press and dig into that thumb side of your left hand. Gate pose allows us to breathe into areas that we haven't breathed before, so make sure you're not going beyond where you can't breathe. The whole point of this is to allow breath. So make sure you can still take deep breaths. Okay, good. And then lift yourself back up, returning your hands to that T position. Drop your back right hand, and we're coming into a counter stretch, so turning those left toes towards the right side of the mat, so in front of you now. And then stretching through that right side, straight line of energy from your left heel all the way up through your left pinky. Good, and then you can stay here, or you have the option for that half moon pose, that kneeling half moon pose. So when you're ready for that, you'll lift your left arm to go straight up, and this will just help with counterbalance as we lift our left leg. Keep it parallel to your hips. Flex the left toes back. And then option to bend that left knee, take the left toes back behind you, and then reach your arm back to meet with your tops of your feet. Pull the tops of your feet back as you lift up through the chest. Slowly release, bringing that left leg back parallel, and then back down to the ground. Good. Walk your hands back towards the front of the room as you turn those left toes to face the front, and the right toes return to facing towards the back of the mat again. Low lunge. We'll plant the hands, lift the right back knee, send the left toes back. We're coming into a plank pose here, so find your footing, find your ground and your placement. We'll stay here for one breath cycle. Stack your heels directly above the balls of your feet. Inhale, and exhale to shift forward all the way onto your toes. Lower all the way to the ground with your elbows grazing your ribs. Bring your hands by your ribs, by your low ribs. Pull your elbows back towards one another as you lift your chest, lift your gaze, lift your chin, keeping the low belly and the hips pressed into the ground. And exhale to release back down to the ground. Tuck the toes under, return to a tabletop, lift the knees, and then send the hips up and back for downward facing dog. Keeping the slight bend in the knees here, or straightening out through the knees if you need a little bit more of a stretch. Inhale to look up towards your hands as best you can, but don't crank your neck too much. And then exhale to slowly walk your feet up to meet the backs of your hands. Bring the toes to touch and leave the heels slightly apart. Inhale to halfway lift, bring your hands to your shins or hands to your thighs. Halfway lift, torso's parallel with the floor. Pull your shoulders away from your ears, making and creating space in the back of the neck. Inhale and exhale to fold back over your legs. Keep your knees bent here, and then slowly start to sink the hips. Ground down through your heels. Sweep the arms forward and up to come to a diagonal as you lift your torso and peel it away from your thighs, keeping your lower body as it is. So in that imaginary chair, in that imaginary seated position for chair pose. So you can either be holding a big beach ball overhead here, or if your shoulders allow, bring your arms in a little closer together. Inhale. Exhale, option to come onto your tippy toes for an added challenge, stacking over the balls of your feet. Send the arms down by your sides. And exhale to release, fold back over your legs. Release your arms, plant your hands, step your feet back, coming into plank pose. Drop your knees, and then walk your hands back to sit on your heels. We're gonna keep the toes tucked under here for a nice stretch through the soles of the feet. Inhale to lift the chest. Exhale to pull the shoulders away from the ears. And we'll take a moment here to maybe do some neck rolls. So if you're feeling that those would benefit you right now, we can do those. Otherwise, you can just stay here, stretching out through the feet. We'll take our left ear to the left shoulder, and then take the chin to your chest, and then take your right ear to your right shoulder, and back down to center. And continue doing that just a few times, whatever way feels good. Just try not to roll your neck back. And we're gonna get into one more back bending pose here before we finish out in Shavasana. So if you are done with back bends, you can go ahead and just lay flat on your back and start Shavasana, and I'll meet you there in just a bit. Otherwise, we'll lift our hips, and you can keep the toes tucked under here. So bring your knees as wide as your hips, so hip width apart. Hips stacked over your knees. Bring your hands and your palms to your low back, fingers facing down. Draw your shoulder blades together as you also draw your elbows back together behind you. Start to lengthen your tailbone down towards the mat, towards that area between your knees. Use your hands to push your hips forward as you start to lift your gaze and find a back bend in your upper back. And your hands are also here to help your low back stay stable. So we should be finding an opening through the upper back more so than our low back. Our low back here is spacious and stable. And then keep going until you feel you can't breathe fully anymore. Option to drop your hands to your heels behind you if you need an added challenge. Inhale, lift your chest even higher. And exhale, return your hands to your hips and sit your hips back down onto your heels. Good. We'll swing the feet out to one side and then out in front of us. And then find your way to a supine, laying down on your back position. As you start to settle in here, tuck your shoulder blades underneath your chest space and let your feet fall wide to either side of the mat. Let your toes flop to either side. We don't need to be holding anything anymore. We're finding a time to let go. And try to resist the urge to just leave early or skip Shavasana. This is super important, especially after an energizing morning flow. And I know it's kind of, I guess, contradictory if we're waking up doing this and then going right back to laying down. But trust me, it helps. It's super beneficial for your mind and especially for your body to just kind of let all of it sink in. So I'll start to quiet down now, and we'll close our eyes. Let your palms face up. Relax your forehead, and especially that space between your eyebrows. Relax your cheeks. Relax your tongue, maybe letting it fall away from the roof of the mouth. Relax your jaw and your shoulders. Soften the belly. And just return to a natural breath. So don't force anything. And just observe and notice how your body feels. Allow every breath in to feel like energy moving through your body. And every breath out, you relax a little more. You can stay here as long as you'd like, or you can start to wiggle your fingers and your toes, keeping your eyes closed. Extend your arms out behind you and reach your hands back, reach your toes forward, finding a nice long stretch here. And then bring your knees into your chest. Maybe rock a little from side to side. And then make your way over to one side, or one to one side fetal position. And then push up with your top hand, returning to a seated position. Try to keep your eyes closed here as you do all this. And bring your hands together and bring them to heart center. And slowly blink your eyes open. We'll bow our head in gratitude. The light in me honors and recognizes the light in all of you. Your body thanks you for showing up today. Thank you so much for joining me today, yogis. I hope you enjoyed this yoga class, whether you took it in the morning or in the evening for a little pick-me-up. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel and turn the notifications on to be notified of any new videos I post. See you next time.